Like, and don't...
Yeah, probably.
There's, like, been 2 of those movies, right? And they both, like, killed at the box office.
Was there, like, in the 70s, was there, like, a Walker, Texas Ranger movie? Didn't stuff like that happen? Like, what's that? Oh, man, I can't remember the sitcom, but with the car in it. You know,
Knight Rider?
No, the other one. The one with the Confederate flag on it.
Dukes of Hazzard?
Yeah, didn't they have a movie a long time ago?
Did?
I don't know.
See, I think that would have been a made-for-TV movie. Like, yeah. I don't think anyone... I don't think that anybody expected movies based on television shows.
It seems like the natural progression now because money.
Yeah. Yeah, but, like, also because people are willing to go watch them. Like, you know, if you heard... When Knight Rider was over, when you were a kid, if you heard that when Knight Rider was over, they were making a movie, you'd been like, "It's gonna suck." Even if Knight Rider was my favorite show, no. But now it's a thing. It's very interesting. I wonder how the Entourage movie will do. Anyways, go on.
Here's a well-anticipated movie coming up soon, maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed. The series finale of Hot in Cleveland aired last night.
Oh, Hot in Cleveland. That's the one with... And I've never seen it. It's one of those things where I heard it was really good, really well written, really clever, and I never got around to watching it. And it had, Betty White was on it, and that English chick that played the caregiver on Frasier, she was on it. Who else was on it? Do you know?
I never saw it either. I saw a lot of promos.
Oh, you know who was on it? Valerie Bertinelli. Eddie Van Halen's ex-wife and known 80s actress. Valerie Bertinelli and Betty White. And the idea, I think, the concept of it was like, you might not be good-looking in Los Angeles or New York anymore, but if you move to Cleveland, you'll still be considered hot. Like a huge shot in the ribs to the aesthetic appeal of women in Cleveland. It's called Hot in Cleveland, where the bar is set significantly lower. And it was one of those things where I always meant to watch it because it was, you know, it looked good, you know, and it was supposed to be incredibly well written. And I love me some Betty White, but I never got around to watching it. And now it's done. The series finale of Hot in Cleveland aired, which is good because that means Betty White is out of work again. Hopefully, this time she'll finally fulfill my fantasy of being forced into working in porn. Funkhouser, you know some people in the adult industry. Make it happen.
Gilf? Great Gilf? Good Gilf?
Great. Yeah.
Good Gilf?
One of, I've never really been a part of any sort of like cheesy radio bits, except for one. And I don't think I'll ever do this again because there's almost no way I can top it. But do you remember a couple years back, there were some kids, like high school or college age kids, that had a website called ahugfromtaylorswift.com. Do you remember that? Do you remember the story? So there are these college kids or high school kids that had a website called ahugfromtaylorswift.com. And they sort of like, without consulting Taylor Swift, said, if we can get 1 million hits on our website, ahugfromtaylorswift.com, then we think that maybe Taylor Swift will notice this and give us a hug. And they got 1 million hits. And they got the hug from Taylor Swift. And when this happened, when I found out that I made a joke on the air. And I was like, oh, well, if ahugfromtaylorswift.com works, that sound in the background you hear is me registering the domain name, reacharoundfrombettywhite.com. And this caused some listeners to be like, dude, you should totally make that website. And I did. It was the first time I ever bought a domain name and had someone like throw up a picture with a hit counter and stuff. And like a reach around from BettyWhite.com got picked up by a national radio service. And so like I was getting calls from like, hey, would you care to talk to WCMF in Rochester, New York about a reach around from BettyWhite.com? Do you think you'll actually get a reach around from Betty White if you get 1 million hits on the website? I was like, wow, this is a joke that spun out of control and it's awesome. And I don't think I'm ever going to top that. Like I was like, wow. A reach around from BettyWhite.com is making national news.
She's probably badass enough to do it, too.
Well, you know, I thought that, you know, there was a possibility, and her hands would probably still be covered in icy hot or something like that, so it would be chillingly awesome. But like, it was funny because like I do remember like talking to some people that were curious about it, that wanted to put it on their show, and when they found out I was just another goofy radio guy that had pulled a stunt, and I actually wasn't some weird pervert that was looking to get an icy hot laden reach around from Betty White, from my favorite Golden Girl, they I think they were a little disappointed to find out I wasn't some creeper. I was just a guy that had beat them at their own game. It went from being like, so what's it, and I was to, oh, you're one of those, okay. Anywho, that's my story. Go on.
Mariah Carey set up a Match.com profile and called her body type curvy.
Yeah. It's like Sarah Palin setting up a Match.com profile and listing her personality as slightly opinionated. It's got to be part of some marketing ploy, right? Like, Mariah Carey's not really on Match.com to meet guys. Like, I got all hopeful for you, Funkhouser.
Well, I mean, you brought up Sarah Palin, too, so now you have to do either. Which one? Now you got to pick one.
Oh, without a shadow of... Oh, wait a second.
Yeah,
that's not as easy as I... Because, I mean, Mariah Carey, you know, especially for someone that grew up in the 90s, you know, that's Mariah Carey. She's not, like, super crazy hot, but, like... As a kid who grew up, you know, with her being the biggest thing in the world, being able to, like, you know, have a I did Mariah Carey story is great. But Sarah Palin, I don't know, like, Sarah Palin is the one, you know, like, you know how they're sort of like make your vote count? I am not that person that just because we happen to live in a democracy is willing to go vote for the lesser of two evils. Like, I hate them both, but I hate this one more, so I'd vote against them to keep them out of power. Like, I think Sarah Palin is a dangerous retard, and I mean that not in a derogatory way. I think she's got some mental disabilities going on, mental social disabilities. I think she is a dangerous I want to say idiot, but that's like, oh, you idiot. I think she's a dangerous mental deficient that if she gets into power in any way, shape, or form could be just... that could be it. You know, that could really be it. And so I would actually go vote against Sarah Palin to keep her out of whatever the hell office I had the power to keep her the hell out of by casting my vote and pulling that particular lever. So, bearing in mind the amount that I hate Sarah Palin, and I think she's awful, would it be more satisfying to stick it to her in a sort of, I don't know,
a reach around from sarahpalin.com?
I don't know. I think Sarah Palin could destroy any man in bed, though. Like, I just get the impression that, you know, she's just... I don't know.
It's like a coin flip.
It really is. Because Mariah Carey, that would be awesome, but Sarah Palin would be weird and dangerous. What would you do? I'm still thinking about this.
I can't decide. I can't decide. It's too difficult. Probably Mariah Carey.
On a purely aesthetic level, of course, Mariah Carey.
I have more time. Yeah. I have more time spent with Mariah Carey on that roller coaster ride. You know.
Yeah. You know, I actually think Mariah Carey could potentially be good. So I'm going to go with the person that I think would be the more pleasurable experience. I have a feeling that Sarah Palin probably has a bear trap type contraption south of the equator, complete with teeth. Like, I think that's how she got that guy to stay with her for as long as she did. She's like, I'm never letting go.
Shimmy, shimmy, ah, shimmy, shimmy, AD on your radio like every day. I'm totally all city champion from the north back to the south. And even your mama loves it when I open my mouth. And I love it when your mama opens her mouth too. You see what I did there? Yeah, it's kind of sort of just what I do. You'll be all like, what the hell? What did AD just say? I'm not sure if I'm offended or if he just made my day. A little insane in the brain, but I'm always entertaining. Remain in the game, I'm maintaining and gaining. My ratings soaring, my competition's boring. They play by the rules that I'm always ignoring. I'm wrong. I'll bring it to you straight hardcore. And I'll leave you want some more. So turn it up loud, cause you know you love the sound when I rock the radio, 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 rock the radio,
Last month in Garland, Texas.
We were monitoring all potential targets, and there was some mention of that name.
That was Boston Police Commissioner William Evans in an NBC Today Show interview. Another man, David Wright, has also been arrested for having connections with Rahim. This is USA Headline News.
Attention! Do you have federal student loans? Are you having difficulty making your standard payments? Are you afraid of having your wages and tax returns garnished? Let us help you today. Student Federal Loan Services can help consolidate your student loans into one affordable monthly payment and cut your payments right away. Federal student loan relief to qualified applicants no matter how much you owe. Call the Established Student Aid toll-free assistance line right now at 800-669-0290. Find out if you qualify for any of the government's income-based repayment programs and cut your monthly payments. You may even qualify for programs that can get you a monthly payment of $0. Thousands of people just like you have found relief from their federal student loans. Our trained counselors are waiting, so call today, 800-669-0290. Again, 800-669-0290.
It's trending.
Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final saw the Blackhawks beat the Lightning 2-1 in Tampa. Chicago scoring 2 goals in under 2 minutes in the third period. Antoine Vermette gets the game winner, and Corey Crawford had 22 saves in net for Chicago as they take the 1-0 series lead. Their head coach, Joel Quenneville, on the team battling back in the third.
Finding a way today is a good illustration of what this team's all about, and finding ways to win, probably a good example of that tonight.
Game 2 will be Saturday, again in Tampa. Baseball games a note. Rockies scored 3 runs in the bottom of the ninth and walk off with a 7-6 win over the Dodgers. The Padres beat the Mets 7-3. James Shields gets the win for San Diego. He's now 7-0 to start the season. A's top the Tigers 6-1. Sonny Gray tossed 8 shutout innings for Oakland. He's 7-2 on the year. That's 6 straight losses now for Detroit. And the Cardinals beat the Brewers 7-4. St. Louis is now a Major League best 35-18 on the year. Yankees beat the Mariners 3-1. New York gets the sweep. Pirates over the Giants 5-2. Pittsburgh with the sweep. I'm Eddie Garcia.
We are Fox Sports.
iHeartRadio puts the spotlight on Bon Jovi. Bon Jovi has its origins from when lead singer John Bon Jovi met keyboardist David Bryan, and they formed a band called Atlantic City Expressway in 1978. The band didn't last, and John Bon Jovi also played gigs in the New Jersey and New York City area. In 1983, he wrote and sung the jingles for a New York City rock station. The station included his song Runaway on a promotional album. With the song gaining popularity, he reunited with Bryan and added bassist Alex Such, drummer Tico Torres, and guitarist Richie Sambora to the new band's lineup. They got a record deal in 1984, and after their original name, Johnny Electric, was rejected, took the name Bon Jovi from John's last name. Their self-titled debut was released in 1984 and included Runaway and the moderate hit She Don't Know Me. Their major breakthrough was 1986's Slippery When Wet, named after a strip club in Vancouver. Bon Jovi's third studio album spent 8 weeks at number 1, was the best-selling album of 1987 and their best-selling album to date. It also had the number 1 hits You Give Love a Bad Name and Living on a Prayer. All things Bon Jovi. Info, music, and more are on iHeartRadio. Keyword Bon Jovi. iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with Jimmy Page to discuss what the most important things to nurture and cherish really are.
I was self-taught, but I did have to take on the role of reading music, or I would have got kicked. Well, I could have got kicked out of sessions on the very first one that I did if I'd have been had no discipline, and if, because that's what they needed. They needed people to deliver. But how important all the academic side was, and how I understood how important that it was, but also the fact that if you have your own character in music and your own personality, and you're lucky enough to find that you can be able to write a few things, then that is so important to nourish and cherish as well.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more Jimmy Page and all your favorite artists.
Go ahead, favorite the show, and enjoy AD on the go. iHeartRadio presents AD.
All right. So I don't know if you caught this or not, and we'll get back into the news in a little bit maybe. But I don't know if you caught it or not. Vince Vaughn. Vince Vaughn is besides being hilarious in Wedding Crashers and moderately funny in a lot of other things, I must be like the only person that liked Fred Claus. I thought it was really good. Heartwarming is what it was. Heartwarming. It made me laugh. It made me smile. It filled me with the spirit of Christmas, which makes people look at me funny when I tell them that. But it really did. It really did. But Vince Vaughn, I guess, has gotten to a stage in his career where he feels it. He's a very outspoken libertarian. He identifies himself as a libertarian.